This is Lisa from Mobile Tech Review, and this is one of the more exciting phones of the first half of 2012. This is the HTC One S for T-Mobile in the US. This is an Android 4.0 ice cream sandwich phone, and it's wildly thin. It's like 7.9 millimeters. And obviously it has a beautiful unibody design. This is anodized aluminum here. We're looking at the gray one. So you know the One S is available in gray and black. We assume T-Mobile will get both, and the black one has a ceramic hardened finish, which has had some chipping for the ones in Europe so far, but HTC seems to be working on fixing that. Anyway, this is anodized aluminum with sort of a gradient of color. As you move it around, you can see it changes. A little bit lighter at the top, a little darker at the bottom. This area here is your antenna cap, and this part is the only part that comes off, and we're going to pop that off for you now. Just grab it off, and that's where your micro SIM goes. There's a first for T-Mobile. It's a micro SIM that's used here for this HSPA Plus 42 megabit per second smartphone. And other than that, you have access, obviously, to absolutely nothing. The battery is sealed inside. It's 1650 milliamps, and there is no micro SD card slot. This has 16 gigs of internal storage, and that's all you got. Now, with some HTC phones like the Titan 2 on AT&T, this back section here, you can see we've got metal over here, acts as an antenna. It will shut down the phone if you take it off. In this case, it doesn't. But again, there's really no reason you're going to take this off unless you want to take your SIM card out. And it's usually a good idea to shut your phone off if you're going to take the SIM card out anyway. Now, the HTC One S, S as in Sam, not to be confused with X, which is the one that's going to be on AT&T with a bigger display, has a 4.3-inch Super AMOLED display, a QHD resolution. This is Gorilla Glass, and along with, the whole beautiful physical presentation of the device, you can see there's a kind of bevel here to the glass. It's really just a neat-looking phone. You've got the standard capacitive Android buttons here, 3 of them. Now, with Ice Cream Sandwich, we were wondering if the buttons were going to go away because of the software bar that's available with Ice Cream Sandwich, but they're still here. And honestly, we don't mind them so much because you're not wasting screen real estate on the bottom, and because, well, it's just really easy to touch those buttons, isn't it? And they're nice and contrasty. I like that. A couple of phones have been having really dim gray outlines lately, and it's really hard to see them. So those are pretty obvious and clear. Since this is a unibody design, we've got the earpiece grill up here. They actually drilled all those nice tiny little holes in here, and there's a little green LED that flashes from back there to let you know of things like your voicemail and other alerts, that kind of thing. So it's not an inset piece of plastic that can look kind of ugly. Cool stuff. You have your VGA front video chat camera here, and on the back, doesn't really tell you much on the back. They're not bragging about it, but this is a f2, which is a fast lens, backside illuminated sensor camera, 8 megapixel, and it takes quite nice shots. You can see we have the single LED flash here, and there are a lot of neat features with the camera. We'll go into those in detail. Up top, we've got the 3.5 millimeter headphone jack, a microphone. That's your power button. Works pretty well. Volume rocker on this side, microphone hole down at the bottom, and your micro USB port on this side. So overall, it looks like an even more unified, classier, and way skinnier version of, say, the HTC Sensation and the Maze 4G on T-Mobile, which were both very nice phones. My only complaints with the design is a phone can really get a little too thin sometimes. It feels, even though the sides are curved, a little bit like it's kind of poking in your hand a little bit, and it's kind of hard to pick up because it's so skinny, or pull it out of your purse or your pocket, that kind of thing. But that's the price we pay for these trendy, super thin devices. The other one is, you can see this 4.3-inch display. It's very long, or tall rather, versus the width here. So when the screen's asleep and you swipe up to unlock, my God, it feels like you're just swiping there forever. And you really have to go from bottom all the way to top to get it to unlock. This does have HTC's kind of neat unlock screen with the Ring interface, and we'll show you that now. So you turn it on, and you can just drag one of these. Say I want to go straight to messages. I can just drag it right down to the Ring, and I go straight into the messaging application. Likewise, you saw camera was assigned there, and you can pick which things are on that Ring. So it's kind of handy to be able to do something quickly coming out of sleep. We've got this software bar down here for also the same kind of quick shortcuts, camera, messaging, email, and phone, and you can change these as well. And HTC's pervasive flip clock. This is running HTC Sense 4.0. And it's tamed, they did a pretty good job of letting some of Ice Cream Sandwich Android OS 4.0 show through, while still doing some of their customizations that a lot of folks who are used to HTC phones actually enjoy, and make it a bit more user-friendly. So you've got the world clock here with the weather going on. couple of HTC widgets, and for better or worse, a lot of T-Mobile widgets. Like you can see, we've got the T-Mobile bonus apps widget. Now, if you don't want anything, you can get rid of it. So any widget here, or any shortcut, and you can just pull it up to the remove up there, and gone. And we've got our standard wireless controls here to turn your Wi-Fi, your Bluetooth, your GPS, syncing, and automatic bright light on, backlight on. T-Mobile highlights again over here. We've got T-Mobile 411, T-Mobile Live TV is on here, a bunch of T-Mobile services. And if we take a look at what they've done with the app drawer, you can see this is a lot like we saw with the most recent versions of Sense. You've got all apps, frequently accessed, and downloads, which is a fairly handy organization. But this one goes side to side, as you can see here, instead of up and down like we used to have. And you've got a search function here, quick access to the Play Store, and then your new ice cream sandwich style menu up here. So you can tap there and see what you can do. Sort them, manage them, share them, edit your tabs. Good stuff there. And because this is Android 4.0, you can do things like make a folder. For example, say I have the web browser here and Chrome Beta, and I'd like to have a folder just for my nifty web browsers. Drag them on top of each other, and I've got a folder. If you tap on the folder, you can see what's in it. If you tap on the name here, you can actually give it a more useful name. And there it is. And you don't want the folder anymore, you just drag apps out, or you accidentally put one in there that shouldn't be there, and there it is. In this case, since there are only two apps, it actually removed the folder itself because you don't have just one app sitting by itself in a folder. So that's pretty cool stuff. If you want to access your settings quickly now, there's no more hitting the menu bar because that gives you your recently used applications. And HTC has customized this into kind of a cover flow style thing instead of the up-down listing. So there's HTC showing off a little bit. Looks pretty nice. And there's your settings right here. And you can also get to it by just swiping down. This is standard ICS stuff. Tap there, and you can get there as well. And again, HTC has customized this a little bit. Instead of the usual black and white kind of look or gray and white that we have, we've got white background, and then they do these neat little visual effects where you can see the sections actually pull apart if you drag it to the end. So that's how they're indicating that you've reached the end of the line there. And you've got your full set of ICS settings available here. As we mentioned, the phone has HSPA plus 42 megabit per second for some potentially really fast download speeds. Now, on some T-Mobile phones we've tested, like the Samsung Blaze 4G, we've seen about 12 megabit per second down and 1 up. Pretty much T-Mobile's limiting the upload speed to give you faster download speeds, which is pretty impressive in terms of download speeds, not so much upload speeds, compared to, say, LTE on Verizon and AT&T. So far with the 1S, now we may not have quite final firmware here yet, and that may be part of the problem, but we haven't been seeing as good download speeds. It runs from 2.5 megabit per second up to about 6.5, and once we did see 10 down. But so far we haven't been getting quite the speeds of that. Voice quality on the phone is good. It's not exceptional, and it's not bad either. It's fairly clear. Volume is average for both incoming and outgoing voice. Sounds sometimes just ever so slightly fuzzy. The phone also has Wi-Fi, and you can use Wi-Fi calling with this on T-Mobile, which is pretty cool. It's 802.11bgn, and it has Bluetooth as well. Now, one thing we noted, again, we may not have final firmware, but if we turned Wi-Fi on, it would switch over to Wi-Fi calling. It would disable the bars right here that you see for your reception, and it would say that in settings that it would switch back to your 3G, 4G connection if it moved outside of Wi-Fi range. Well, if we turn Wi-Fi off, it actually never would reactivate the data connection, nor could we make phone calls. We actually have to toggle flight mode to get it back. Hopefully by the time the phone's released, that will be fixed too. In terms of performance, this is really, really good stuff here. Qualcomm Snapdragon S4, that means 4th generation dual-core CPU. This is the Crate CPU with the new 28 nanometer process. Generally, the lower the nanometers, the better in terms of power consumption, and the newer the platform. Performance has been stellar on synthetic benchmarks. We got a 5100 on Quadrant. GL Benchmark, we were seeing 60 FIPS on the Egypt screens and the GL Benchmark Pro 2.0 test, which has very good scores. We're talking right up there with the quad-core Asus Transformer Prime tablet. Very nice stuff. On the Antutu benchmark, we saw in the 7000s because this is capping itself at 60 FIPS for video tests. So really fast phone. It feels fast. It is fast. you're not really missing anything by not getting the Tegra 3 as far as I can see here. Also, battery life has been surprisingly good on this. Now, if we're playing demanding 3D games, that can hit the battery a bit hard, but just about everything else that we did with this phone, it really held up well, and that includes video playback, streaming video playback, phone calls. Really, really very good. And that's a good thing because the battery is sealed inside, as we mentioned. You can't swap in a new one. And it has a 1650 milliamp battery, which is not a huge capacity battery, but then this doesn't have LTE either, which is generally a big consumer of battery power. The phone can output to HDMI. You'll need an MHL adapter, which is not uncommon with today's phones where everything plugs into that micro USB port. That adapter costs you about $20, and they are available at T-Mobile stores, and then you can plug that in. You plug the charger into it as well, and then plug that into your TV or your monitor. And certainly this can play 1080p video easily. And we've got some high quality movies here, and we're going to test one out. It's a full 1080p, high profile. And so you can hear the speaker. By the way, this has Beats Audio. Now the Beats Audio kicks in if you plug in external headphones of any brand, but not for the internal speaker. It's nice quality audio. Reasonably full for a cell phone, doesn't sound brash. Screen is nice and bright. Again, this is a QHD display. And it's Super AMOLED, which you don't see on HTC phones that often. Now, Super AMOLED, some of you absolutely love it. That's what we see on a lot of the Samsung Galaxy family phones. And some of you are real picky about that Pentile Matrix display, and you feel like you can see the grain in text. Honestly, at 4.3 inches in QHD, it's a good matchup for resolution. I'm not really feeling bothered by seeing dots in text or anything like that. But for those of you who really care, and you're not, well, also married to T-Mobile, there is the One X, which has a full 720p LCD display. That one is 4.7 inches, and it's a little bit bigger than this guy. And in this country, it will run on the same CPU. Now, one of the neat things about running Ice Cream Sandwich, besides the fact that only about 3% of your friends are going to have that running the latest, greatest Android operating system, is you can install for free Chrome Beta. And Chrome Beta really makes a difference in terms of speed compared to the stock browser on phones. Not so much on Android tablets, I've noticed, but on phones, yeah, it's really just loads just like that. Fast enough pinch zooming, responsiveness. So that's a nice option. Chrome has a reduced set of options compared to the regular Android web browser, but you do have a couple of things here. You can share, you can request a desktop site, and you can go into settings to do things like empty your cache and take care of some stuff like that. So it's nice to have that second option of a very powerful, near like desktop browser. And you can see the interface here conforms to Ice Cream Sandwich standard. You've got your menu access up here. You've got the indicator for how many windows you've got open right now, and there's obviously your URL bar. Now if we launch the standard web browser, it's going to take longer to load the page. But still will do a very good job in rendering. And again, you've got the full set of new features for ICS here. You can manage your tabs, you can request a desktop site, you can enable and disable Flash Player right here without having to dig deep into your settings. You can print, and of course you can go through a whole lot of other stuff, including bandwidth settings if you want to be mindful of how much data you're using. Gmail has that cool new Ice Cream Sandwich look to it as well, and also Honeycomb devices are getting an update to actually support that for those of you who have Honeycomb tablets. So the inbox is the inbox, not super duper exciting, but you tap on here, and you can see you've got your clean little strip of commonly used functions down here. You can tap to show pictures. That's not so new. And you can do things like swipe to see the second page of an email. You can swipe to get to your next email. So you can swipe back and forth. So that makes for nice email management. Now we're checking out the 8 megapixel camera here. We got, of course, our very large and beautiful viewfinder, and it's very fast at taking shots. There's our shutter button. You can also tap to focus. Say we want to focus on that particular orchid. Shoot it, and this little neat bubble thing here is a variety of effects. whole lot of effects. HTC has really gone to town working hard on their camera software here. And you've got control of your flash right there. Zoom, and more settings here. Resolution, video quality, review duration, image adjustment, self-timer, white balance, ISO, all that kind of stuff. Now here's an interesting thing. Say we're going to shoot a video instead. And by the way, when you switch, it automatically just starts recording there, which is a little bit strange, I think. You can also shoot a picture. See the shutter buttons here? So you can shoot pictures very quickly. They're popping up down there. It's not making a shutter sound, so you don't hear the shutter sound being recorded in the video. But so that's kind of a very honest-to-God, real dedicated camcorder feature. So we've just shot 3 pictures while we're recording 1080p video. And stop recording, we just press that right there. And now we have our quick access to gallery. You can see there's the video that we just shot. It's recording there, which is a little bit strange, I think. Good audio recording. See the shutter buttons here? So you can shoot pictures. And now we can swipe through and you can see here are the shots that I took while we were recording video. So pretty cool. Photographs on this are good. They're not HTC Titan II 16 megapixel quality good. Now pixels aren't the only thing that count. Obviously in image quality it's a whole lot of things, including lens quality, exposure, all that kind of thing. This takes really, really nice 1080p video. Very smooth, really sharp looking. It can have some trouble keeping up tracking if you're moving the camera around quickly, though, I noticed. So for action shooting, if you're moving the camera, it's a problem. If the subject is moving, that's not so much a problem. For photos, it takes really nice, sharp photos, not overly sharpened, reasonably good exposure, sometimes a little high in the contrast by default. One problem I noticed is that reds really do bloom. Now that's an unusual problem with any digital camera, especially a point-and-shoot kind of camera, but it's a bit excessive here. We tried shooting some red roses and they lost absolutely all detail. The leaves were fine, the green leaves, everything else, but the red petals just bloomed. And likewise, if you take a red picture of a red bus or car or something like that, you're going to see a lot of blooming. Other colors, it does just fine with. In terms of performance for 3D gaming, it does just great. We're testing out the new Death Rally, the latest free game or freemium game, which has a very challenging steering system, but nonetheless, really nice graphics. Pretty fun game. And it plays just fine. So there you go. That's Death Rally on the HTC One S. The only bundled game is Where's the Water? That's a Disney mobile game. I think it's geared towards kids. It's a water physics game, but it's actually pretty fun. And you know what's funny? Playing Death Rally, which you think would be a much more demanding kind of game, doesn't get the phone hot at all. But if you play Where's the Water, you can feel the heat coming through the back of the phone because it's so thin and, well, this is anodized aluminum. It's going to transfer heat. But be that as it may, it's still a fun game. We've got Zinio preloaded here. The standard Google apps are all on board. YouTube, Gmail, all that stuff's here for you. We've got Polaris Office on board, and this is the full version, which means you can view and edit stuff, and you've got support for Dropbox and SkyDrive. And if you want to create a new document, you can right here, create a new Office document. We've got Google Play Movies, Google Play Music, again, all the standard stuff. There are a bunch of T-Mobile applications, My T-Mobile, T-Mobile Hotspot feature. That, of course, is useful. You can use this as a portable hotspot for your laptop or your tablet computer. HTC Watch, Lookout Security, just in case you're concerned about viruses. Amazon Shopping is loaded, 411. And HTC's FM radio and their flashlight applications. You can use the LED flash to blind your friends and find your way around in the dark. So that's the HTC One S. Absolutely a gorgeous phone to behold. Super thin, excellent build quality, lovely to look at. Very pleasing 4.3-inch Super AMOLED QHD display and 42 megabit per second HSPA plus, which T-Mobile calls 4G. And you know, we're starting to push close to LTE with some of the speeds we've seen on that network, though this phone hasn't quite gotten there just yet. The phone runs Ice Cream Sandwich. It has an incredibly fast Qualcomm Crate dual-core CPU. There's just a lot to like here. At the time that we're shooting this video, T-Mobile has not announced the price or availability. We expect it to be out very soon, though. And we'll include that information in the blurb with the video, and of course in our full written review as soon as we know it. I'm Lisa from Mobile Tech Review, and this is the HTC One S on T-Mobile US. Don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel.